and he starts gaining more and more popularity, while Islam, he hasn't been super active. He's been as active as he can be. He gets like the fight, like I said, it gets canceled as far as Saruki, and he gets Moicano, but that's not the fight people were expecting. And so they just look at it and drop him down. You can't ask anything more from either guy.
It's a mess right now at 155 pounds. It's a mess.
A hot mess?
And it's a mess. And
when I say, is it a hot mess?
And there's it's a cold mess, but it's a mess.
Ilia Topuria just shocked the world. With a meteoric rise and back-to-back dominant performances, he has overtaken Ilia Makhachev in the pound-for-pound rankings. The lightweight division has a new king on paper, and this wasn't just history, it was a symbolic dethroning at the top of the sport. Moving on, while debates rage over who deserves the next title shot, Kamaru Usman took a step back and assessed the bigger picture. To him, the real issue isn't just about matchups, it's about the complete disarray at 155. With years of momentum lost, the former champ described the current state of the division in no uncertain terms.
It's a mess in a way where, Henry, a lot of different things took place within the last year that created this mess. Justin decided, hey, UFC, you need me. I'm a company man. I'm going to take this fight versus Max Holloway.
And it didn't stop there. Usman pointed to a string of key moments that turned the division upside down, from shattered opportunities to sudden departures, creating ripple effects that still haven't settled.
And I'm going to go out there and try to do something for y'all. Boom, the worst happens. That ruins that shot. Arman Tsarukyan is given an opportunity to fight for the belt. He doesn't make weight. That creates a mess. Then the champion, number one pound for pound, decides, you know what? I'm tired of being here. I'm leaving. That creates a bigger mess. Because now you've got a new guy that moves in, leaves his belt. Now you're throwing a new name into there who he hasn't fought any of those guys. So now you have a mess of who's next.
Furthermore, as the conversation around Ilia versus Islam grows louder, few voices carry as much weight as Alexander Volkanovski's. Having shared the cage with both men, Volk understands their strengths like no one else. And when asked to analyze the matchup, the former champ gave a measured take, respectful, insightful, and brutally honest.
I think Islam's going to be a tough matchup for him because Islam can be quite defensive and safe. I think he's going to know he needs to play it safe with Ilia because he knows Ilia's going to have that puncher's chance. But I just think them later rounds, is going to be very difficult for Ilia. So, but Ilia can, if he puts hands on anyone, like if he traps them, gets them where they don't want to be and lands a nice big shot, it's going to be game over.
During a fierce debate about the pound-for-pound crown, John McCarthy offered a grounded take. Known for his deep insight and decades in the apport, McCarthy pointed to one thing driving Ilia's momentum more than anything: his timing, his activity, and a wave of hype that shows no signs of slowing down.
So everything he's been doing, you look at it and it's a wave that starts building as far as this thing's getting bigger and bigger, more people are jumping into that wave to ride it. And he starts gaining more and more popularity, while Islam, he hasn't been super active. He's been as active as he can be. He gets like the fight, like I said, it gets canceled as far as Saruki, and he gets Moicano, but that's not the fight people were expecting. And so they just look at it and drop him down. You can't ask anything more from either guy. Either guy deserves that pound for pound.
As McCarthy continued, he made it clear that both fighters are elite. He explained why public perception favors Topuria right now. Drawing parallels to past debates over Usman and Volkanovski, he highlighted how activity and big moments shape pound-for-pound status more than titles alone.
Okay, Islam's been there. I always say, it's no different than when Kamaru Usman was the pound for pound. And I said, look, I think Volkanovski should be pound for pound right now. He's fighting the better fights. He's getting the better results. It's not, you can take a look at what's happening with who he's fighting and how he's fighting. Right now, I think that he is the pound for pound. It kind of went that way. And I can understand why people are looking at Topuria and saying, right now, I think he's the best pound for pound fighter. In the end, it might not be that way, but right now it looks that way. And he is doing it in a fashion that is just collecting fans as he goes.
Right after claiming the lightweight crown and shocking the world, Ilia Topuria didn't pause to celebrate. He looked ahead, hungry for more and already thinking legacy. He set his sights on something even bigger, and with his trademark calm confidence, he dropped a bombshell about what could come next.
It would be much better for me to fight him in 170, and I will beat him and get the third title. That will be the best scenario for me.
Meanwhile, the MMA world exploded with praise for Topuria's stunning rise, and Islam Makhachev refused to fade into the shadows. Calm and composed, the former champ didn't run from the moment he met it head on. With fans calling for new kings and fresh matchups, Islam fired back with a bold response, reminding everyone that his legacy isn't done yet, and he's still ready to finish anyone, anywhere. He said, "So many opponents say they'll finish me in the first or second round. Everyone talks, but like I said, make it 170, step into the cage, and we'll see who finishes who." However, fans and fighters debated who truly deserves the pound-for-pound crown, and UFC President Dana White weighed in. Known for backing those who deliver under pressure, Dana didn't hold back his admiration for Topuria's performance and his rise to greatness.
Yeah, it's interesting because, he did exactly what he said he's going to do. He is an absolute complete fighter. Stand up is beautiful, ground, grappling, everything. This kid's a star.
But Ilia Topuria wasn't just aiming for Islam's belt, he came for his legacy. Tired of the noise coming from Dagestan, Topuria unleashed a ruthless verbal assault. No more respect, no more filters. This was personal, and when asked about Islam and Khabib's comments, Ilia didn't hold back.
Actually, I'm gonna say something. One who is that no one gives a about him, that's Islam. No one gives a even in Dagestan, when he's fighting, the people goes to sleep and they watch his fight in the morning. Even at home, who gives about Islam? He doesn't even know how to pronounce two words.
Do you think that they believe that, or do you think that's just, an excuse that they want to get themselves up to welterweight and go after another title?
They talk so much. They act like they invented the sport. I already said this. They talk, and at the end of the day, they do what they are told to do. They said that they wouldn't vacate the belt, they would move up to the welterweight division.
Even Islam Makhachev hasn't lost his edge or his sense of humor. As the build-up to a potential fight with Ilia Topuria gains steam, Islam took a playful jab at the UFC's promotion and Topuria's media presence.
Brother, I just feel bad, man. Nobody speak about International Fight Week. Nobody speak about main event. What is this, man? Please, let's promote a little bit, okay? Do some work.
Adding on, while some praised Topuria's rise, others weren't ready to hand him the crown just yet. Arman Sarukian, one of the division's most dangerous contenders, acknowledged Ilia's achievements, but with a warning. He respected the knockout power and momentum, but made it clear if they ever met, the Topuria hype train might come to a screeching halt.
He deserved to be a number one.
Because he's a two-division champion, right?
He's two division champion. He knocked out, lost his fights, and he knocked out the GOATs. And how he went there and knocked out Charles Oliveira in the first round, and Islam just move up. If Islam gonna win the title in 170, he's gonna be pound for pound.
Back, right?
Yeah, for sure. Because it just takes time. But I'll send Topuria back to top 15 pound for pound.
Furthermore, as the internet flooded with debate over who truly deserves the pound-for-pound throne, Chael Sonnen stepped in to ground the conversation. Known for his sharp takes and deep fight IQ, the former title challenger made it clear Topuria's win was huge, but their name still sits at the top of the mountain.
The champ is pound for pound number one, and his name is Islam Makhachev. He beat another guy who's really, really good and really, really popular, and he beat him in a way that nobody else could. But keep your impressed and keep your comparisons to Conor. Conor goes out to Madison Square Garden. He takes on Eddie Alvarez, the reigning champion at a weight class Conor had never been at. That's a big deal. And that's close to what we just saw.
And that's where Chael took the conversation deeper, with fans quick to draw parallels between Ilia's rise and the legendary run of Conor McGregor. Sonnen broke down exactly why those comparisons might be too soon and too generous.
It's close, Ilia's no longer the 45-pound champion, but that was actually paperwork. Right? If you want to make a comparison to Conor, that was a paperwork issue. He didn't lose that belt, but he still didn't have it. And Ilia didn't beat the sitting champion, and he didn't knock out the reigning champion. To just match what Conor did, Ilia would have had to not have that paperwork issue, still have the belt, and have knocked out, in this case, Islam Makhachev. And I'm just to remind you, that's not what happened. Now,
on the other side, Chael wasn't just analyzing the fight, he was watching the narrative being built around Ilia in real time. And in true Sonnen fashion, he pumped the brakes on the hype. According to him, his wasn't the same as stepping up to fight the top contender, and the theatrics afterward were ever more questionable.
very, very different than coming up and taking on the guy. This wasn't even the next guy. It was another guy who's really good. All right, but keep that in perspective. You have to. Now let's look at the other side of the coin. You saw Ilia with 2 belts. That was wrong. That was very, very wrong. And I am curious who gave him those belts. If Ilia brought one of them, it's fair game. But that's a nerd thing to do. I mean, you'd have to be a nerd to carry your belt around. You'd have to be a real nerd.
And then came the Chael-style humor, with a twist of sharp criticism. The belt on Topuria's shoulders became a symbol of what Chael called a premature coronation. From checked luggage to fake optics, he questioned everything about the double champion narrative.
I just can't imagine that Ilia would bring yesterday's accomplishment with him. He flew in an old title from Spain? Like, did he check it with his luggage, or did he take it through security and had it beep and they had to wand it? It's very hard for me to believe that Ilia brought the belt. But if he did, it's completely fair game. They gave him 1 belt, he brought the other belt, double shoulder. I don't think that's what happened. I think they handed him 2 belts. And it was wrong.
Furthermore, as the spotlight intensifies and fans dream of the next super fight, one voice in the MMA world sees something big on the horizon. Michael Bisping, never shy with bold predictions, broke down the technical layers and made it clear Ilia Topuria may just have the tools to dethrone Islam Makhachev next.
Well, we know one thing, camp has begun. All you got to do is Google the name Ilia Topuria. It's all over the internet. It's all over Twitter. It's everywhere. Camp has begun. But I think Islam's wrestling is probably a little bit better. But if we just say that, if you look at the striking styles, Ilia Topuria, I favor him as the boxer. Islam Makhachev, he's got some nice little kicks, just as Alexander Volkanovski, right? But the problem is with Ilia Topuria, with that boxing style, he's very, very heavy on that lead leg. So you're going to look for Islam Makhachev to chip away with calf kicks, try and keep him at bay with Ilia being the shorter guy, then bring the kicks upstairs. Ilia Topuria versus Islam Makhachev, that would do huge numbers, and we all want to see it.
However, as the rivalry between Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev continues to heat up, the Kairos bros unpack the drama from both sides. From sharp insults to sudden respect, they highlighted how Ilia first blasted Islam, then shifted his tone, calling it destiny. With talks of a move to welterweight, they revealed just how real this super fight might become.
Ilia has gone at Islam, saying that he ran away. Said he's boring. Ilia did come out today in his defense and did say, look, I don't think he's ducking me. He's just going for his destiny, his dream of having 2 belts. Ilia said he's happy to go up to 170 and fight Islam there. Imagine Ilia just speed running all the way up to welterweight to become a 3-division champ. If Islam does win, that's a fight to make. He says the reason he can do it, he's trained with welterweights before and he believes he can knock anyone out. An analogy he gave, which I thought was hilarious, is when you're in a street fight and I got to defend my missus, I'm not saying what do they weigh and what are they coming in at and what are they cutting weight to. I'm just going in to knock someone out. You got to admire the confidence.
Even as hype around Topuria's rise surged, some voices from Islam's camp began to question the bigger picture. Behind the praise and headlines, they sensed something deeper at play. According to Umar Nurmagomedov, the UFC's push wasn't just about competition, it was about creating a new star, regardless of who truly earned the shot.
Они хотели, чтобы Ислам поднялся. Они хотели из Топурию чемпиона в 70 килограмм сделать. Это не потому, что Ислам хочет наверх подняться, а потому, что они хотят его чемпионом там видеть. Потому что они думают, что он будет продавать бои. Ислам не хочет отказываться, он хочет подраться.
Amid all the noise surrounding Topuria's rise and Islam's next move, Chael Sonnen took a step back and analyzed the timeline with surgical precision. He believes Ilia didn't just chase a big fight, he strategically positioned himself while Islam quietly planned his exit from lightweight, and in Chael's eyes, that detail could shape the entire debate when fans look back on this rivalry in the years to come.
I look at that fight and I say Islam, but Ilya's the one that pushed for the fight. When we look back at this situation, the fact that Ilia entered the division, gave his belt up, tried to get the fight, I think it's going to create a real problem in the future when you're debating these two. And we got a source saying the same time that Islam knew he was going to go to 170 but didn't say anything. And therefore the call-outs of Islam were insincere. They were for show because they both had the same information, which is I'm coming up, you're going up. If that is in fact how this went for a argument into the future, it is a colossally important detail. And we've got a massive source in MMA that is claiming that's exactly what happened.
Meanwhile, as Islam Makhachev prepares for a welterweight title shot, the MMA world is abuzz with speculation about the future of the lightweight division. Analyst Ben Fawkes pointed out that regardless of Islam's outcome, the spotlight is shifting toward a potential showdown with Ilia Topuria. Soon that fight could become the only matchup fans and promoters care about, overshadowing all other contenders for the foreseeable future.
If he wins or loses, you could see there being a big push for him versus Ilia, especially, you know,
That's a great point.
By then we're looking at doing like Ilia versus Paddy in a reasonable time. Like, you could wind up sitting here like early next year where it's just like Ilia versus Islam is the only fight anybody wants to see. Nobody's trying to hear about a #1 contender at lightweight after that. Like, that you could easily just get passed over for an entire year.
Building on that momentum, Fawkes dove deeper into Islam's mindset. For him, this isn't just about escaping a tough weight cut, it's about legacy. Moving up to welterweight might be Islam's way of stepping out of Khabib's shadow and carving his path. And with Ilia now in the mix, the timing couldn't be more perfect.
Want to keep making 155 maybe. He there's, I think, also some part of it that's like, hey, how do you stop just being Khabib's friend in the eyes of MMA fans? Go up a division, do something he never did, you know, win a second title. And that may be thinking, if Ilia becomes lightweight champ, that fight will be there in the future. And it very well could be.
Ilia Topuria's stunning victory over Charles Oliveira has the MMA world and rewritten the pound-for-pound ranking. This isn't just a new champion, it's a new era. As the lightweight division's landscape shifts, all eyes are now on what comes next. Islam will reclaim his throne, or Ilia's reign will continue to grow. One thing's for sure, this rivalry is far from over, and the fight game just got a lot more exciting. With talk of a potential trilogy, super fights at 170, and legacy-defining moments on the horizon, Topuria versus Makhachev could become one of the greatest storylines in UFC history, packed with pride, power, and unfinished business. Who do you think will come out on top if Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev face off again? Drop your predictions and reasons in the comments below.